This conference will now be recorded.
So let's open Tableau desktop, and these are the screens which we see. All right, so let's connect it. Okay, so what we were looking in the previous day, we were just trying to connect to different data sources. We connected to text file, we connected to the spreadsheet. So where is the patch? Right. And so I have created a drive, and I think I gave access to all of you. So you should get the invite, but just keep in mind every day you don't get the email saying that this is uploaded, but automatically, so that will be coming up to your drives. So you just have to visit your drive and click on share with me. So I'll try to show you that, because some people think that they are not getting emails every day. So very quickly, I'll just show that one time, and then we will get started. So where's the drive here? Okay, click on this, and you will find the drive option. So where's the drive here? This one. It's taking a long time. Okay, so you have to click on shared with me, and yours is this patch. So this is where you will get the day-to-day content. So when you click on shared with me, and so do this after 1 hour from the class, I'll upload all the content which we have discussed in the day-to-day sessions, and it will be the folder wise, day wise, so it's easy for you to go through that. But remember, you don't get email every day, but the content will be automatically coming up here. All right, so those who are aware of this, just ignore what we are talking about. Okay, so now let's get into Tableau. So what we will discuss today is something about the connections. So we were about to discuss about the live versus extract connections. So what is the difference between the live connection in Tableau and the extract connection in Tableau? Okay, so but before we go to that, so we saw the file systems yesterday, isn't it? So we saw these maybe only two text and Excel files. Can I connect it to the database as well? Yeah, we'll see that what is the steps to connect to the database. So click on Microsoft SQL Server. That is what I installed in my local machine. But don't worry about that, because we'll talk about how to install SQL Server in your machines as well. And so how to connect to the database which is installed in your local machine. So you can do it just by typing localhost, or you can just use a dot. You can just use dot to connect it to your local machine. And if you are connecting to a machine which is placed in a different location, it can be in the same office, it can be different office, different location, then you have to use the IP address here. So IP address something like this, 49.10.10.10 or some number. You have to put that number, and then there will be a port number as well. So every hardware device will have a port number. So what is a port here? PORT. So every device will have the port numbers. So for example, we have the sea coastal areas where you have the ports, sea ports. So very similar to that. So what is that is, so let's say this is our country and our shipping starts from this point. Let's say this is some port. So that is the end point from our country, from where the shipping starts. Very similar to that. End point of my application from where the communication starts. So that is called as the port. And our system, every laptop will have more than 65,000 ports. But really you cannot see that, it's all inbuilt. And every application will make use of one separate channel to communicate through the internet. So SQL Server also has the default port, which is 1433. This is a default number. So why do we learn all these things is, when you connect to a server, if you just use the IP address like this, that means we are connecting to 1433 port number. Now I have configured to a different port number. Then you have to use here comma and then your port number. So you have to give that information here. All right. So we'll see that when we talk about a Tableau server. So we'll come to this again, but just remember what is a port. So my database is in my local machine, so I can use either dot or I can use local host. Database name is optional, so if you know, you can give that, but I don't know what is my database name, so I'm just leaving that optional. Enter your usernames and passwords, which we configured. So you did not configure, I configured in my database with this simple password 123. Let's say sign in. So it connected to a database now, and you can see that here. So this is a database, and in SQL Server database, how many tables you have, sorry, how many databases you have. These are the different databases which we created, which I created before. So I'm able to see all the list here. Okay, if I want to connect it to some database, just click on that. And what are the tables in that database? It is trying to pull those tables here. All right, so this is how we can connect it to the database here. All right, just remember the steps, but if you already have database installed, you can try this. But if you don't have the database, no worries, because we are going to see that in detail maybe after so many sessions. But how to connect is what is important now. So just to go back, so how did we connect then? So we went to SQL Server, and then we gave the server name, and we gave the username, we gave the password. And when we connect that, then it will display what all databases you have, which database you want to connect. And remember, you can connect to only one database at a point of time. And in that database, what are the tables available? So those tables will be displayed here. And from here, it is the same thing. So drag and drop into this area. It is the same thing here as well. Okay, just the connectivity is what I wanted to show. Okay, but let's let's connect it to a simple file system for now. Let's go back and let's go to the text file which we created yesterday. Let's go to the data sources. All right, so give me some time. So I just have to change this folder name. And I'll close this Tableau desktop as well because different patches. I just need to adjust one small thing here for documents. And this is the patch. So don't do this unless you know what it's about. This is a folder which we were using yesterday. And in this folder, we have created a simple notepad, isn't it? So I want to connect to this notepad only. All right, so let's try to do that. We can keep this open. We will keep this open because we will make some modifications here. Save, and let's connect to Tableau now. Let's open the latest version. Yeah, it is available here. Give me a second. I'll be back. Give me just 1 minute. Okay, so it looks like someone is not able to hear me and see the screen. So request you to please rejoin. So that's the news I got. So please rejoin. Everything should be fine. So if you face any delay to what I say and what you see on the screen, so just leave me a message in the chat window. So that way we will understand that you are facing some issues. Okay. All right, so let's get back. And so we are about to see the difference between the live connection and the extract one. So I'm connecting to a small notepad. So let's connect it here. Click on the text file and Where is my data source? This is my data source, the default location. Select sample file. Let's say open. All right, so and the first thing which we will talk about is the connection, which is a live and extract. So what is the difference between them? Okay, the next thing which here we want to do is go to sheet. Just look at the data. We have 3 rows, 3 columns, and this is the data we are seeing. So we'll talk about a few things on this page. But the next thing where we have to go from here is click on the sheet 1. Okay, let's click on the sheet 1 here. Okay, so this is the main screen of Tableau, so where we have to work every day. So this is a main screen. So we'll discuss these as we go on one by one. So the
Sir,
first thing, yes,
sir,
please.
yesterday you told that each sheet is called as table.
Yes, each sheet in Excel, but we connect it to the note. In Notepad, we don't have sheets, isn't it?
Okay.
All right. So this sheet, where did we saw before in Excel files, isn't it? So I would say Tableau is just an extension of Excel only. So it is an extension of Excel only. So here also we are seeing sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. And in Tableau also, we will see the same thing here, sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, if we add them. And what do we call this? Excel is an application. This is a worksheet, and there is something known as workbook here. So if you say new, say observe, it is telling you create a workbook. So Excel is an application, and it contains what? It contains workbook. Every workbook contains sheets. So I'm talking about Excel, not about a Tableau. So when you click on blank workbook, then it creates 3 sheets by default. So similarly, it is exactly the same here. So Tableau is also similar to Excel, which contains multiple sheets. So if you click on this icon, then it is sheet 2, right? And if you just try to save this file, so let's say file save as, then you can see here it is saying Tableau workbook. So exactly the same features of Excel only, right? Okay, that's one point. Now I'm not focusing on anything here except the data. So what data we have in Notepad, how to see that data in this screen. So click on this icon. So view data, click on this icon. So I'm able to see whatever the data which I have in the Notepad. So even though you have separated by comma, so Tableau understood well, so it divided into 3 different columns. Okay, now which connection we are using? Live connection. So what is a live connection means? We will have interactivity between the data source and Tableau 24/7. So that means we have the data here. So this is the data and this is Tableau. So when I say it is a live connection, there is communication between the data source. This is a data source. It can be a file, database, anything, and Tableau. So you have 24/7 connectivity. Okay, let's see in detail what is that connectivity. Now, when I said 24/7, then here I have added another row in the file. So this is the data which I'm trying to add, and I saved this file here. Okay, so I saved this data and I have a new record now. Now let's go back to Tableau, and where do we see the data? If we click on this view data, we should be able to see the data, isn't it? So click on that. How many records we are seeing? Only 3. But how many records we have? 4. Did you save this file? Yes, I did save this file. So why the record is not coming up here? Yes, here, remember, the live connection means the connection is live, and that means the data transfers. So the data transfers will not happen automatically, right? Only the connectivity is available. I'm able to talk, but the data transfer may happen or may not happen. So here it did not happen. This record is not displayed here. Okay, then what should we do if I want to see this record in this table? Because the up-to-date data is not reflected in Tableau. So what should I do now? So manually, you have to do something here. So what is that here? Observe the first part in Tableau. This is the name of the file, and this is the symbol which it is displaying. The symbol is this one. So when you see this symbol, this is the live connection. So the meaning of that is it is a live connection, and this is the name of the file. But what is the use, sir? We are not getting the data. Yes, we are not getting the data. But if you want to get the updated information, then right click on this and then say here refresh. All right, so we see the option here, refresh. So click on that and wait for a second. We don't get any confirmation message here, and just click on view data again. Now you will see newly added record in this way. Right, so that means even though if your connection is live, if the data is updated, in this file, so we will not get the latest information. So if we want to get the latest information, then we have to do one small step here, which is right click on the data and then click here refresh. Only then we will get the information, the updated information. And let's say, sorry, just moving the screens still fast. If I update it here, let's say 600. So I just updated a record, save that here. And then if I see this here, view data, again, it is not updated. Very bad. So yes, so that means even though if your connection is live, you will not get the up-to-date information. So every time you have to say refresh. So when I say every time refresh, then I'm getting the updated information. So this is what I changed in the notepad to 600. Profits 600, I can say that here. So that means what is the use? Every time I have to click refresh. Yes, you understand. So when you are building the reports, what happens is to which database we are going to connect. So there are two types of databases here. So what are the two types of database here? Yesterday we just tried understanding that. So one database where you are getting the day-to-day information from the customers, and there is another database which is a very bigger database here. So you have a very big database which is called as the data warehouse database. And this database we technically call that as OLTP. You have to remember these names. And this database we call it as OLAP. What is OLTP? Online transactional processing system. So let's put that in the notes here. So if you want to understand this, so we need to know something about OLTP, so which stands for online transactional processing system. So transactional means every day there is a transactions made to this database. And what is data warehouse database called? It is OLAP, which is online analytical processing system. Online analytical processing system. So now from Tableau, to which database we can connect? So this is one interview question. So you have Tableau. Are you able to connect it to this database, or are you able to connect it to this database? We can connect it to either this or this. But what is this used for? OLTP is used for day-to-day activities. What is OLAP is used for? It is used to store old data. So we should not say old data. The technical term here is historical data. We have to use the same terms here, right? So this is used to store historical data. That means the previous data. So now we can do analysis on the live, which is used for transaction day to day. We can do that, or we can do analysis based on the previous data. So if we connect it to historical data, then there is no updates made to this database, because this is the old database and the user doesn't do any updates to the old database. For example, you made a transaction in an ATM yesterday. So after 1 week or after 10 days, that becomes the historical data. So on before 1 week, so what you did, where you have withdrawn money, which branch, which location, what time, how much money, how much currency notes it is released. So that information will be stored in this database. And here, no modifications happens, isn't it? Which is already done. Okay, now to which databases we regularly connect from Tableau? Because companies use Tableau, so to which databases we connect every day? 90% of the cases we will be connecting to the historical data. That means the changes doesn't happen to this database. So 90% of the projects which are running in the companies will be based on the historical data. And we will be connecting to the live data where every second, yes, the data is getting updated. The share market, so every second the data gets updated. Okay, then if it is historical data, I don't need to do refresh every time. Absolutely. If you connect to database today, tomorrow, after 1 week, the data will be same. It doesn't change. But if you are connecting to the database where every minute there is a change, then who will do this refresh? I don't do it for every second, which is a time consuming. Yes, there we will take help of Tableau server. So we will take help of the Tableau server. So server will talk to the database, and for every 5 minutes or whatever time we configure, then server will get the updated information and it will store in Tableau server. And we connect to the data which is stored in Tableau server. So that way we will get updated information in our Tableau desktop. So just the
Sir, historical data means it will fetch data, or what is it exactly?
see, if you have done transactions previous day, let's say you have ordered something from a Amazon store. Okay, let's say you have ordered something from Amazon 1 week ago or 1 month ago. So that item is delivered to you. That means, is the workflow of the job completed? So you ordered, then you made payment, and the product is delivered, and that transaction is now closed. So are you going to make any modifications in that order? Like I want to place or update the number of items when I placed. No. So that order is complete. If you want to buy something new, again you have to place a new order. So the transaction which you made 1 month before, now it became historical data where you cannot do any modifications. But let's say I have ordered an item from Amazon today, and that record is inserted here. And okay, now I changed my mind, so I placed only one item. So I want to add 2 more items to my order. So that means you are editing your order. That means you are doing some modifications to your existing order. So that transaction which you do will be updated in this database. Yes, user changed it from 1 to 2, or user changed the address, or user canceled the order. So that information will be storing in this day-to-day database. And once your transaction is complete, then you cannot do any modifications. So then that kind of records from the database will be moved to the bigger database. So that means you cannot edit anything for your previous transactions. So that will be the historical data. Got some idea?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Excellent. So the analysis which we do will be mostly on the historical data. So I want to improve my sales, improve my business. This is my previous data. So based on the previous data, we have to do analysis and then project the reports, and we have to
Sir,
show them.
only the records which we cannot change are brought to the historical database.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
How often it is refreshed?
Yeah, that depends on the company. For example, let's say I have a database. That's a very good question, in fact. The size of this database I have is 10 GB. Okay, and every day I'm getting 1 million records of data. So every day into my database, I'm getting 1 million records of data. This is a transactional database. That means this is a live to the customer. So if I'm getting 1 million records of data every day, my database would be full in 30 days. So in 30 days, my data would be full. That means the database will be completely stored. Then my application will go down, because if there is no space in the database, then the application comes down. Then what do I do here is, then I want to store the previous data. So 30 days means I would take first 10 days data and I would move it to a different data. So now the first 10 days records are now stored here. Now I still have 20 days records in this data. So how frequently you have to move? Maybe for every 20 days or for every 10 days, you have to move your data from one database to the bigger database, which is data warehouse database. Let's take another scenario. So I have a database where I'm getting only few records. So maybe after 6 months also, this data is only filled like 10%. Okay, when your data is only 10%, so you can still have the data here. So maybe after 1 year, so it is reaching 50%. Okay, now here I will do after 1 year. So after 1 year, so I will just move my data to the bigger database. So It all depends on the input of number of records to your database. And on an average, I can say how frequently it is moved. It will be 30 days, 30 to 45 days. On an average, the real-time data will be moved to a different database in between this range, 30 to 45. So it is not guaranteed based on different applications which I worked on. So this is how frequent it is moved. So we run a task scheduler. Again, this is automatic, so it is not manual. So automatically after 30 days or 45 days, the previous data will be transferred to this at the night time. So we do that at the night.
After moving from OLTP to OLAP, the records are deleted from OLTP.
From OLTP, yes, but not from the database. The user, if he wants to still see the records, yes, the records will be pulled from this data warehouse database. But the records are not completely deleted, but they are deleted from this database, which is OLTP. But for the end user, those records are still accessible for 1 year. But after 1 year, so they will delete even from data warehouse database as well. You can just check your bank statements. If you say for 1 year, 2 years, you can get it from your online application. But you say, I want last 15 years transactions. You cannot do it from the application which you log in through net banking. That is not possible. You have to visit the branch, and then there the branch people will be able to talk to this data warehouse database, and then they will pull the reports. So if you are using that, you can just check the net banking, pulling the previous 10, 15 years reports from your application. All right,
Okay.
so let's come back here. And so which one we will use here? So we will connect it to OLAP systems for most of the times, and we can still connect it to OLA, OLTP as well. And so how we get the updated data? So Tableau server will get the updated data for you. So we'll talk about that when we see Tableau server. But now, what is a live connection? So live connection is just the connectivity between the database and the Tableau. So this just the connection is live 24/7. And now observe here. So there are a couple of things we have to discuss. This is my database, which is there in US, and I'm working from India. So this is Tableau. This is a database, and I connected from India. So I got the connection, and yes, I can see the data. I'm able to work here. Okay, that is fine. So this is OLTP or OLAP, anything is fine. Now, I lost the connectivity to the database. Due to some network issues, I lost the connectivity. Then what happens here? When you are watching the TV, when there's a huge rain, so there is a loss of signal. So you don't get the signal, so the connection is lost. That means, can you work now in Tableau? No, definitely no, because you lost the connectivity. So live connection means it's only the connection between the two applications. Then how do I do, and what do I do then? So if you're using live connection, then you have to wait until the connection is restored back. So your network team, your database team will look at that. So why is that down? Is that database is down, or is the network is down, or there's no internet connection? So we have to look at different factors. So when there is a live connection break, then we cannot work in Tableau. But but just remember a point about extract. We can work with data even though you lose connectivity with the database. That means we can work in offline mode also. It's a very powerful feature. So when there is a loss of connectivity, still we can work with our Tableau in offline mode also. You will have the same data. So how is that possible? It is possible through extract. Okay, one difference, remember this. The second point here is, so we are using live connection and I'm getting the data. Very good. Is this data stored anywhere in my system? That means now, is this record? If you are connecting to a database, is this stored anywhere? No, it will not be stored anywhere in the system. So you are just using the live connection and you are getting the data through internet. And when you close Tableau, the data is also removed from this Tableau, or the data is not stored in your local machines as well. So in live connection, there is no storage of data in our local machines. So that's how we are providing some security here. Not a lot of security, only some. So we tell to customers the data is not stored, it is very confidential. Yes, very good. That's one point. And now let's look at the other point here. I have deleted the sample file from here. Let's say this is the file which I connected, and I have deleted this file from this location. Okay, so there's no data now. This is an interview question. Please make a note of it. So when we delete the file which we connected through the live system, so this is a live system, I still see data. Will you still be able to work with it? This is the interview question. So the data where we have it is deleted now and we don't have the data now. And can you still work with it? The answer is no. But you can say, sir, we are still seeing the data. Yes, only data, we cannot do anything. We have to build the reports. Okay, so if I'm trying to build the reports here, so don't worry what I'm doing now. So if I try to do something here, so you will get here the error message that the file has been deleted. So for that interview question, if the file is deleted in the live connection, then what happens is you will get the error message that the file is been deleted. But the data, whatever you have, it will be still visible, but you cannot really work with it. All right, so you cannot really work with the data. That's one interview question. So to summarize very quickly what we are trying to see, the default type of connection is live, and we connect it to the different file systems. And when the data is changing, then what we have to do here is we have to manually right click the data source and you have to say refresh, and you will get the updated information. And another very important point, the symbol of the live connection is the database symbol. So this database symbol is a live connection symbol. All right. And another point, if we lose connection in between, then we cannot build any reports. We cannot build any reports until the database connection is established. All right, so that's the only points which you have to remember for now. And let's move to the next type of connection, yeah, which is the extract connection. All right, so let's talk about the extract connection now. So what happens here is, so if I click on this extract connection, it says extract means pull the data. Extract means what? Pull the data. Okay, now let's go to sheet 1 observe here what happens if I click on sheet 1. I'm getting a window here. So I'm getting some window, which we did not get it when I clicked on live, when I clicked on live, when I clicked on sheet 1, I did not get any window. But if I select here extract, and if I select sheet 1 or sheet 2, any sheets here, then we are getting some window. Okay, what is this it is asking for? So it is asking, so give the file name. Okay, I said here sample.hyper, that is fine. Let's save it. What happened here? Yes, what happened here? Very interesting thing here. First, observe the symbol here. You will get the database symbol like this, and you will see this type of symbol here. So this is the symbol for extract. So what is that meaning here? Extract means we are pulling the data from a file input to the local file. I'm not clear what is this statement. Okay, let's take a look in the paint here, because this is very important. So let's try to dig a little more. Let's assume that this is a database here. Let's do it very quickly. And this is the database which we connected. Let's assume that this is my database which is there in US. Okay, fine. So now we are here in Tableau. So we are in India. So this is just for example. So you can have the database in the same office as well. Now, when you connect to the database or any file system through extract connection, what happens is that there is a flow here. Remember, there is a flow here. So what is that flow means? When you tell Tableau, take an extract from this database, immediately the Tableau is going to take a snapshot of the database. Snapshot means it's just a pic, isn't it? So what is that snapshot contains? The complete data. So whatever you have the complete data, so it is going to take a snapshot. And this snapshot is sent to Tableau data engine. So Tableau has got a separate dedicated engine which is built, and this engine, it will take the input of this snapshot, right? So this is the flow. What this data engine will do? So this data engine will convert your database snapshot into a file. So that means it converts the complete information of the data into the file systems. So what is that file systems? We call the extensions will be .tde in old versions of Tableau, and in new versions of Tableau it is called as hyper in new versions. So when I say old, so I'm referring to which version here is Tableau 8. So I would say Tableau 8. So then you are getting the file with the extension TDE. What is TDE? TDE stands for Tableau Data Extract. The very first extension which we are trying to learn here. So let's quickly add it to our day-to-day interview questions. So that here, because even the extensions are very, very important. Extensions, the first extension which we are trying to learn is TDE, which is Tableau Data Extract. Or the second one, we just have the hyper, and so there is no full form for this. This is just the upgraded version of TDE. What is the difference here? So what is the difference between TDE and Hyper? So the performance is very high in Hyper, which is in the new versions. Now that means the complete data is now available in your file. So where you save that file, so that data will be available in the file. And now Tableau connects to this file now. That means whatever data, that means here you have 100 records or 1000 records. So what is the time when it took? So at this time it has got 1000 records. Then that 1000 records are now available in this file. And Tableau is now connecting to this file. Okay, now my data is available in the file. So even though you lose connectivity with the database, I really don't matter because I have all 1000 records in my file here, isn't it? So here we can work in offline mode also. So we can work here in offline mode also because the data is now stored in my local machine. So where is that stored? It is stored in one location, isn't it? So which location is that? So let's go to the data sources folder, my Tableau repository, and go to the data sources folder, and this is what the file we stored. So that means the notepad which I used, the data from the notepad is now sent to the Tableau data engine, and that engine converted my data from notepad into this file. So this is just for illustration purpose, but generally that will be the database which is in a different place, and that information is now stored in my local machine file, and the Tableau will connect to this file system now. So it doesn't connect to this notepad. Oh really, it doesn't connect to this? No. So if you update anything here, so now will it not be displayed in Tableau? If there is any change here, let's say there are some new records getting added. Let's say there are some new data which is coming here. Then how to get this updated information if we are using extract connection, isn't it? So this is live, but let's change it back to extract, and you can see the symbol is changing. Okay, so now we have to understand, so how do we work with the extract connections? And if there is a change in the data, then how do we get that updated information into this Tableau, right? So we'll talk about this, but not now. So we'll take it to the next session, right? Because this is very, very, very important one, and so we'll take it little leisurely in the next session. So we'll stop it here for today, and so request you to join by 8:30 p.m. sharp, so that we can extend 10-15 minutes instead of completely just sticking to just 1 hour. So we'll just improve that, but we have to start on time. So I'm stopping it here for today, and we did not see the complete differences between live and extract. We have to see something more about extract, and then we will see the very, very commonly asked interview question: what is the differences between the live and extract connections? This is a mandatory question. Okay, so we'll talk to you tomorrow. Any questions?
Sir, when the data transferring from live data to an extract data, will we apply a filters to the data, or exact whatever it is in the live we transfer
Now,
into the extra?
that's a very good question. So when we are pulling the data from the database, I might not need the complete data. I want to apply some filters as well. So yes, definitely, we will apply filters as well. So we will see that more when we talk about filters section. So to answer your question, yes, we will be applying filters as well when we are pulling the data from the database.
Do we do that job, sir?
Yeah, we have to do that. Yes.
Hey, Brady. All right, so
Yeah, carry on, sir.
all right,
Hang on.
yeah,
Okay, so keep your questions for tomorrow.
QA just put in the chat the first round of post file.
I'll put your questions for tomorrow. So we will. I'll take your questions tomorrow. I had some call connecting. So I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sorry for that.
Thank you, sir.